Chosen ones, if you're still broke, you're ignoring God's call. This is not a judgment, it is a wake-up call, a divine alarm ringing in the depths of your spirit. You are not meant to merely survive. You are not meant to sit in a life of lack, day after day, wondering if your dreams will ever become reality. You are chosen. You are marked. You are anointed. And if you are still broke, still lost, still standing in the shadow of your greatness, it is not because the universe has failed you, it is because you're ignoring the call to rise. Before we dive deep, I ask you, watch this video until the end. Don't skip a second, because somewhere in this message, your breakthrough will begin. And when your spirit feels that shift, when your soul whispers yes, drop your warmest wish in the comments below, along with 77. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. The moment you do, the energy begins to move. The universe listens when the chosen speak from the heart. Wishes are more than hope. They are blueprints whispered to the divine. Give your wish form. Give it life. Give it voice. Now let's get real. Let's talk about why you're still stuck. Why you still feel broke, not only financially, but emotionally, spiritually, and energetically. Being chosen isn't a guarantee of comfort. It's a guarantee of responsibility. And too many of you have mistaken silence for peace and stagnation for waiting on God. But what if I told you that God has already spoken and you didn't move? What if I told you the door was already opened, but you never got up to walk through it? So many of you are praying with your lips, but your life isn't reflecting the movement of faith. You say, "God, send me abundance," while you hold on to the fear of leaving a job you hate. You say, "God, bless me," while you curse your situation every single day with your words and thoughts. You ask for elevation, but you refuse transformation. Do you see the contradiction? The chosen must walk differently. You cannot walk in the same patterns as the world and expect kingdom results. There is a reason you've been uncomfortable. There is a reason you've been restless. Your soul is being stirred because heaven is waiting for you to wake up. You are not broke because God is testing you. You are broke because you are resisting your own divine assignment. You were sent to shift the atmosphere, but instead, you've settled into it. You were designed to lead, but you've accepted the background role. You're ignoring God's call every time you stay silent when your voice is needed. Every time you play small when you were created to be large. Let's get one thing clear. Wealth is not just money. Wealth is alignment. It is clarity. It is direction. And every time you ignore the nudge to change, to speak, to create, to move, you're cutting yourself off from your divine supply. You are meant to be wealthy because you are meant to have impact. You are meant to overflow so others can drink from your cup. But how can you pour when you haven't even filled your own vessel? How can you feed the hungry when you haven't nourished your purpose? Being broke is not your fate. It is a season of awakening. It is a mirror showing you where you've refused to bloom. The pain is not the punishment, it's the prompt. The lack is not the end, it's the lesson. But lessons unlearned become cycles. You were not called to circles. You were called to straight paths, to movement, to divine strategy. So ask yourself honestly, where have I delayed my own breakthrough? What voice have I silenced? What risk have I refused to take because fear looked more familiar than faith? Chosen one, you've been called to build. But building doesn't happen in comfort. You will have to risk, sacrifice, speak, and walk differently. You will have to turn off the noise of the world and tune in to the frequency of heaven. Because if you're still broke, It's not because God hasn't provided, it's because you haven't picked up the tools He gave you. You keep waiting for Him to drop the blessing from the sky, while He's waiting for you to become the vessel He can bless through. Every calling comes with a cost. You cannot escape that. But the reward on the other side of obedience is always greater than the comfort you're clinging to. You are never supposed to blend in. Your path will look strange to others. Your ideas will seem crazy. Your visions will feel too big. That's how you know it's divine. God doesn't give chosen ones small assignments. And yet so many of you are living as if you're disposable, as if your gifts don't matter, as if your light is just decoration. But your light is disruption. It is a signal in a dark world, and you've kept it hidden because you feared judgment more than you feared mediocrity. You cannot ignore the call and expect the crown. You cannot delay your obedience and expect accelerated favor. God's hand is on you, but His hand cannot move through you if you stay paralyzed in doubt. The cost of delay is too high now. Time is moving. Energy is shifting. Heaven is aligning things behind the scenes, but it requires your participation. God partners with movement, not hesitation. Heaven doesn't respond to fear. It responds to faith in action. There's a reason people keep telling you, you're different. There's a reason you feel like you don't fit in. It's not because you're broken. It's because you're built for something higher. And yes, that comes with pressure. It comes with weight. But you were designed for it. You are not a mistake. You are not late. You are just being refined. But that refining requires fire. You must allow the fire of truth to burn away your excuses, your limitations, your doubts. The gold in you cannot shine until the false layers are stripped away. You have to stop normalizing suffering. You have to stop calling survival a blessing. God didn't create you just to barely make it. He created you to reign, to steward territory, to build legacy. And that requires more of you. It requires that you confront the voices in your head that tell you you're not good enough, that you silence the fear that says you'll fail, that you reject the comfort that says stay here. Staying is disobedience when movement is what you are called to. Stop asking for a sign and start being the sign. Stop waiting for the perfect moment and start realizing that your movement creates the moment. The longer you ignore the call, the louder the discomfort will become. That feeling in your gut, that tension in your chest, that's your spirit begging you to remember who you are, not who life has told you to be, not who your trauma trained you to be, but who you were before the world tried to shrink you. You are not broke because God forgot you. You are broke because you forgot Him, not in prayer, but in practice. You forgot Him when you chose fear over faith, when you stayed silent instead of speaking the truth, when you hid your gifts because it felt safer than shining. And now, the discomfort is your teacher. The pain is your prophet. Will you finally listen? Because make no mistake, He's calling. And this time, He's not whispering. He's shaking the very foundation of your life to get your attention. He's disrupting your comfort because your calling is urgent. The world needs your light now, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready. Now you may never feel ready, but you must move anyway. Faith is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move while afraid. And so, chosen one, this is your wake-up call. Not a soft lullaby, but a trumpet, a roar, a reminder that you are more than your current situation. You are more than the bills you can't pay. You are more than the job you hate. You are more than the fear in your chest. You are called. You are chosen. And if you're still broke, it's not because you're weak. It's because you've been silent too long. You see, the truth is, most people don't fail. because they lack talent or opportunity. They fail because they won't answer the call that's been placed on their life. It's easier to complain than to confront your purpose. It's easier to stay broke and blame the system than to rise and build your own. But chosen ones don't follow the easy path. You were designed to trailblaze, to tear down barriers, to shatter the limitations placed on your bloodline. That requires courage. That requires clarity. And above all, it requires obedience. Let's talk about obedience. Not the kind that follows rules just to avoid punishment. I'm talking about radical, destiny-defining obedience. The kind that makes you walk away from what's comfortable. The kind that makes you lose friends, quit jobs, and change your life before you see the results. You want heaven's abundance, but are you ready for heaven's instructions? Because those instructions won't always make sense. Sometimes they'll make you look foolish. Sometimes they'll stretch your faith so far that you feel like you're breaking. But obedience births miracles. Comfort never does. If you're still broke, ask yourself, what instruction have I been ignoring? What divine idea have I buried beneath excuses? What door did I refuse to knock on because I thought I wasn't worthy? You're not broke because the world is against you. You're broke because you're blocking yourself. The world has no power over your destiny unless you surrender it. And too many of you have handed over your divine power in exchange for comfort, for approval, for the illusion of security. But chosen ones don't settle. They shift the system. They break the mold. Let's talk about purpose. Your purpose is the solution to someone else's problem. And that solution is your wealth. You weren't meant to chase money. You were meant to release value. But value is only released through purpose. You cannot fulfill your purpose if you're still trying to be someone you're not. You weren't chosen to fit in. You were chosen to stand out. You were chosen to disrupt. You were chosen to lead. But leadership requires sacrifice. It requires elevation. And elevation always costs comfort. The more you delay your purpose, the more you will suffer financially, emotionally, spiritually. Not because God is punishing you, but because you're living out of alignment. Alignment unlocks abundance. When you step into your divine assignment, resources begin to find you. Opportunities begin to chase you. But when you run from your assignment, everything dries up. That's why you feel empty. That's why you feel lost. It's not because you're cursed. It's because you've abandoned the path of your calling. Chosen one. Do you realize the magnitude of who you are? Do you understand the weight your soul carries? This life is not just about surviving. It's about constructing divine legacy. And legacy begins with obedience. When you say yes to God's call, you begin to walk a path that others fear. But on that path, the miraculous becomes normal. On that path, provision is guaranteed. Not always in the way you expect, but always on time. But you'll never see it if you keep hesitating at the threshold. Your hesitation is robbing you. Every time you say, "I'll do it later," you push your breakthrough further away. Every time you choose logic over obedience, you limit what heaven can release through you. Faith doesn't always make sense, but it always makes progress. You're not waiting on God. God is waiting on you to move, to act, to create, to speak. Your next level is already written, but it's locked behind your action. Your obedience is the key. You have to be willing to fail forward. Chosen ones don't succeed because they never fall. They succeed because they get up every single time with deeper wisdom. You cannot let the fear of imperfection keep you paralyzed. God does not call the perfect. He perfects the called. He qualifies those who say yes, not those who wait until they feel ready. If you're still broke, Maybe it's because you're still trying to perfect a plan instead of activating a purpose. Start where you are. Use what you have. Speak what you know. And trust that heaven will multiply your movement. The widow had only oil, but her obedience turned it into overflow. David had only a sling, but his faith defeated giants. What do you have in your hands right now that you're ignoring? What skill? What dream? What passion? That's your weapon. That's your provision. That's your path to wealth. But you've got to use it. The calling on your life is not optional. It's not a suggestion. It's a divine mandate. And until you step into it, you will feel broke. You will feel stuck. You will feel invisible. Because your soul will not rest until it's in alignment with its divine purpose. You were not called to work a job you hate for a paycheck that barely keeps you afloat. You were called to build systems, to change lives, to shift atmospheres. But your call requires your yes. Not a passive yes, a bold yes. A yes that shakes everything around you. Some of you are still broke because you've confused survival for strategy. You've learned how to cope, not how to create. You've learned how to manage lack, not how to manifest overflow. But chosen ones were not created for survival mode. You were created to lead movements, to pioneer new realms, to walk in dimensions others can't even see. That means you must stop waiting for someone to rescue you. No one is coming to save you, because you were sent to save others. That's the call. That's the reason the pressure has been so intense, because the oil inside you is rare, and rare oil requires crushing. This is why the attacks have been heavy. This is why the delays have been frustrating, because heaven is protecting the anointing on your life. You're not broken. You're being refined. But refinement without obedience is wasted fire. Let the fire mold you. Let it sharpen you. Let it reveal the real you beneath all the masks and fear and conditioning. Your wealth is connected to your authentic self. Not the self the world accepts, but the one God created. Chosen one, you've been entrusted with vision. That vision is not random. It's not a fantasy. It's a preview of your future. But it requires action. It requires that you walk even when the path is unclear. That you trust even when your bank account is empty. That you speak even when your voice shakes. The universe doesn't need another echo. It needs your original frequency. And your frequency is your wealth. Your frequency is your freedom. You've stayed in places too small for too long. You've worn identities that don't fit. You've carried dreams that never belonged to you. It's time to come home. To your true self. To your divine self. To your powerful, brilliant, chosen self. That version of you is not broke. That version of you is not stuck. That version of you is not afraid. That version of you is ready. Ready to answer the call. Ready to disrupt the system. Ready to build what only you can build. The world is waiting. Heaven is watching. Your legacy is calling. This is not just motivation. It's a mandate. Get up. Move. Create. Speak. Activate. The kingdom inside you cannot wait any longer. If you're still broke, it's because you've silenced your roar. But chosen ones were born to roar, not whisper. Born to lead, not follow. Born to build, not beg. Now is the time. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now, chosen one, let this truth pierce through all the noise. Your financial situation is not merely about economics. It's spiritual. Money is not just currency. It's confirmation. It confirms whether or not you are walking in alignment with your divine design. You weren't meant to constantly hustle for survival. You were meant to flow in provision as a result of walking in purpose. But if you're still broke, if your life is still filled with frustration, tension, lack, and closed doors, then something is off. Not with your destiny, but with your decisions. There are people right now doing less than you, working with less than you, and they're thriving. Why? Because they answered, because they didn't hesitate, because they moved when the signal came, because they chose to obey instead of question. Chosen one, you cannot afford to ignore the signal anymore. Every moment you spend second-guessing your calling is a moment you delay your abundance. That delay becomes pain. That delay becomes bitterness. That delay becomes silence between you and your source. Let's be honest, many chosen ones suffer in silence. They know they're called. They feel it burning inside their spirit. They have visions. They receive signs. They're constantly being nudged by the universe, but they do nothing. They hide. They distract themselves. They entertain things that have no eternal value. And slowly, their light dims. Their energy fades. Their belief in themselves dissolves. Not because they weren't good enough, but because they ignored what made them chosen in the first place. Your uniqueness is the key. The way you think, the way you feel, the way you process the world. It's all part of the blueprint. Your design is not random. It's a response to a spiritual problem in the world that only you can solve. That's why nothing feels right until you step into your role. That's why you feel so lost when you follow the crowd. Because you were never meant to be in the crowd. You were meant to guide them, inspire them, awaken them. But to lead, you must be free. Free from the fear of failure. Free from the chains of comparison. Free from the systems that taught you to settle. You've been programmed to believe that playing it safe is the smart path, that taking a job you hate is noble, that building someone else's dream while ignoring your own is honorable. But that is not divine thinking. That is survival thinking. And chosen ones were not created to survive. They were created to evolve. Evolution requires separation. Sometimes to step into who you're meant to be, you have to walk away from who you've been. You have to unlearn the mindset of lack. You have to release the guilt around wanting more. You have to stop equating humility with poverty. There is nothing holy about lack. There is nothing divine about being broke and bitter. True humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself in alignment with your purpose. And that purpose comes with provision. You must understand this. Your breakthrough will not come from waiting. It will come from warring, from going to battle with your old self, from facing the demons of procrastination, of doubt, of fear, from slaying the voices that tell you not yet and you're not ready. You are ready. You've always been ready. The only thing missing is your belief in your own readiness. Heaven already authorized your next step. The only thing left is for you to walk in it. Every time you say no to the call, your future shifts. Not because you lose it, but because you delay it. And delay is a thief. It steals years. It steals confidence. It steals momentum. Some of you have been in the same place for years, not because you lack information, but because you lack implementation. Knowledge without action is still disobedience. And in the spiritual realm, disobedience has consequences. Not because God is punishing you, but because every divine promise requires participation. Your participation is the access point. You want doors to open? Knock. You want overflow? Pour. You want change? Move. The universe does not respond to passivity. It responds to energy, movement, risk, faith. Chosen ones were designed to activate heaven on earth. But activation begins with obedience. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to move when the fire hits your spirit. When the vision ignites your heart, that's the moment of power. That's your window. But windows close. Opportunities expire. Anointing fades when not used. Don't let the dream God placed in you die because you were too afraid to try. Don't let someone else run with your assignment because you chose convenience over courage. Yes, you are chosen. But chosen doesn't mean guaranteed. It means invited. It means entrusted. And trust is a test. Will you protect what's inside you, or will you let it rot unused? Think about this. How many people are connected to your calling? How many souls are waiting on your obedience? Every time you shrink back, you don't just delay your abundance, you delay theirs too. Chosen ones are not called just for themselves. They're called to shift bloodlines, to open portals, to change spiritual climates. Your yes is not just for you, it's for generations. And until you say yes, those generations remain in chains. This is bigger than money. This is about legacy, about building something eternal, about leaving a mark that cannot be erased. Money is just the result. It's not the goal. The real goal is impact, and impact comes from alignment. When you align your life with your assignment, you will not need to chase money. Money will chase you. It will be drawn to you because you're walking in the vibration of purpose. That vibration is magnetic. It pulls resources. It opens doors. It creates miracles. But as long as you ignore the call, you will feel cursed. Not because you are, but because you are out of sync with the reason you were sent here. Your soul signed a contract before you were born. That contract includes your gifts, your purpose, your assignment. And the moment you deny that contract, life becomes confusing. You start chasing things that don't fulfill you. You start settling for relationships that drain you. You start building someone else's empire while your own vision withers. It's time to rewrite that story, to take the pen back, to stop waiting for signs and start becoming the sign. You are the signal. You are the miracle. You are the move of God this generation is waiting on. But the miracle can't manifest if you keep ignoring the call. Don't let your fear become your false prophet. Don't let comfort become your cage. Chosen ones were never meant to be tame. You are wild. You are rare. You are divine. And divine beings cannot stay in systems designed for mediocrity. You are not mediocre. You never were. That's why life keeps shaking. That's why things keep falling apart. Because heaven refuses to let you settle. That pressure you feel, that's not punishment. It's a reminder. That fire you feel, that's not frustration. It's activation. That restlessness in your soul, that's your destiny screaming to be seen, to be released, to be walked in. Stop dimming your light to make others comfortable. Stop playing small to avoid criticism. You weren't chosen to be liked. You were chosen to be light. And light exposes darkness. It disrupts. It changes everything. So if people are uncomfortable with your growth, let them go. If your surroundings no longer fit, walk away. This is your moment. This is your time. Your wealth, your healing, your legacy, it's all waiting on your yes. Answer the call. Chosen one, if you've made it this far, it means the message is not just for you. It is you. You're not watching this video by accident. You've been drawn here by divine orchestration. And you know it. You've always known you were meant for more. You've always felt a fire inside you that refuses to die. No matter how many failures, no matter how much heartbreak, no matter how long you've waited, something inside of you still believes, and that something is sacred. But belief without action is betrayal. Not betrayal of God, not betrayal of others, but betrayal of your own self. You're betraying your higher self every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow." You're betraying your higher self every time you settle for a life that makes you miserable. You're betraying your higher self every time you entertain energy that lowers your vibration. And worst of all, you start believing the lie that your current condition is your destiny. Let me say this loud and clear. Being broke is not your destiny. Being broke is not a badge of humility. Being broke is not your cross to carry. Being broke is a symptom of disconnection. Disconnection from your calling, disconnection from your mission, disconnection from your power. You are not weak, you are not lost, you are not abandoned. You are simply waiting on a future that is already waiting on you. You're waiting for permission. You're waiting for perfect timing. You're waiting for everything to make sense. But chosen one, when has anything ever made sense in your life? When has the world ever made room for someone like you without you demanding it? When has the universe ever given you a straight path? You were born to walk through chaos with clarity. You were built to lead through storms. You were crafted for the impossible. And yet, you hesitate. You keep waiting for people to believe in you before you start. You keep hoping someone will come and rescue you from your own doubt. But listen, no one is coming. No one is coming to fix you. No one is coming to validate you. No one is coming to lift you into your purpose. Because the truth is, you already have everything you need. God didn't send you into this world without tools. He placed the fire inside your soul for a reason. Now it's your responsibility to let it burn. The money you desire is tied to the motion you're avoiding. Your wealth isn't stuck, it's stored. Stored inside the work you haven't done. Stored inside the words you haven't spoken. Stored inside the risks you've avoided. It's not that your breakthrough hasn't come, it's that you haven't shown up for it. And yes, that hurts to hear. But pain can be a portal. Pain wakes us up. And maybe that's what this season has been all about. All those closed doors, all those disappointments, all those sleepless nights wondering, why is this happening to me? What if they were never meant to break you, but to build you? What if your delay has been a classroom and your brokenness has been the teacher? What if you were never being punished, but prepared? And now it's graduation time. But you can't move into a new level using old logic. You can't access divine provision while clinging to scarcity thinking. It's time to rewire everything. Your thoughts, your habits, your identity. Because the version of you that's still broke is not the real you. It's the programmed you, the domesticated you, the fit-in version of you. The version of you that was taught to stay quiet, to be nice, to not stand out, to not want too much. But chosen one, you were born to disrupt. You were born to expand. You were born to walk into spaces and shift atmospheres. But how can you shift atmospheres if you can't even shift your own mindset? Your mind is the battlefield. Every time you think I can't, you've already lost. Every time you say, maybe later, you've handed your power to fear. Every time you replay your failures instead of visualizing your future, you are programming yourself to repeat cycles that are meant to end. And you know those cycles are killing you, slowly, silently. Every year, your light dims just a little bit more. But here's the good news. You can reignite it right now with a decision. The decision to say, I'm done pretending. The decision to say, I will no longer be broke in spirit or in bank. The decision to say, I was sent here to break chains, not wear them. Your words are magic. Your decisions are doors. Every small move you make in alignment with your calling shifts the atmosphere. The more you align, the more you attract. The more you move with faith, the more you magnetize favor. You are not chasing abundance, you are activating it. And let me be honest, activation is painful. It means losing people who loved the old version of you. It means walking alone sometimes. It means being misunderstood. But being chosen was never about comfort. It was about calling. You were called to be uncommon. That means your path will not look like theirs. That means your success will not come through the same formulas. You will have to listen to a deeper voice, a voice they cannot hear, a voice only you were trained to follow. It's not supposed to make sense to everyone. They weren't called, you were. That's why you feel the pressure. That's why you can't settle. That's why even when everything looks fine on the outside, your soul still aches. Because it knows. It remembers the vision, the contract, the mission. And it will never let you rest until you honor it. You can fake a smile, but you can't fake your frequency. And your frequency right now is sending out signals of desperation, confusion, delay. And the universe is responding accordingly. Shift your frequency. Shift your outcomes. Start walking like you've already been answered. Speak like the money is already in motion. Create like your destiny depends on it. Because it does. You want the wealth? Then start honoring the assignment. Start treating your gift like it's sacred. Start showing up like your future self is watching. Because it is. Every version of you that will ever exist is waiting for the moment you decide to stop running from yourself. You don't need another motivational quote. You don't need another podcast. You need obedience. You need silence. You need to listen. Your calling is not a suggestion. It's a summons. It's a divine order. And when you ignore it, you pay in pain. But when you honor it, you are paid in peace. Not just the peace of mind, but the peace of prosperity. The peace of knowing that you're finally where you belong. That you're finally doing what you were born to do. And from that place, money flows. Opportunities flow. Alignment flows. You don't need to fix your life. You need to follow your life. Follow where the energy is flowing. Follow where the passion is burning. Follow where the divine breadcrumbs are leading you. That path may not be easy, but it will be true. And truth leads to treasure. Truth leads to freedom. Truth leads to everything you've ever been looking for. Chosen one, stop ignoring the knock on your soul. Stop questioning your qualifications. Stop drowning in overthinking. The call is real. The time is now. You are ready. You are capable. You are anointed. You are chosen. And the only thing standing between you and the life you've been praying for is the version of you that refuses to answer. Chosen one, you've been patient. You've endured more than most people ever will. You've carried invisible weights, fought silent battles, and smiled through storms no one saw coming. You've clapped for others while your own hands were trembling from the effort of just holding it together. And still, you show up. Still, you keep trying. Still, there's something in you that refuses to give up. But let's not confuse endurance with obedience. Let's not confuse survival with alignment. You are not here to barely make it. You were never meant to spend your life in lack, in delay, in constant repair mode. There is a reason why no matter what you try, nothing truly satisfies you unless it's connected to your calling. You were built for something bigger than comfort. You were built to conquer. If you're still broke, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or financially, it's because you're out of position. You're out of alignment. And alignment is not just about what you're doing. It's about who you're being. It's about your identity, your self-concept, the beliefs you repeat to yourself when no one is listening. Are you telling yourself the truth, or just recycling trauma and calling it realism? Be honest. How many times have you looked at an opportunity and said, "That's not for me"? How many times have you watched someone else win and thought, "That could never be my life"? How many times have you let the fear of judgment override your potential? That voice in your head that tells you you're too late, too flawed, too unprepared. That's not God's voice. That's the echo of every moment you felt unsafe in your power. It's time to silence it permanently. Because here's the truth that most people will never tell you. No one is keeping you broke but you. Not your family, not your boss, not the economy. The lock is on the inside. The chains are in your beliefs. You have internalized lack and wear it like it's your identity. But you were not born broke. You were born abundant. You were born with gifts that were designed to create overflow, not just for you, but for everyone your life touches. Chosen one, you're not called to play small. You're called to be a fountain, a divine current of provision, wisdom, and power. But how can you pour if your cup is empty? How can you lead if your soul is starving? How can you answer the call if you keep declining it every time fear knocks louder than faith? You say you're waiting on God, but what if God is waiting on you? What if the door has always been open, but you're standing outside with a victim mindset, waiting for someone to carry you through? That's not how elevation works. You don't get lifted into purpose. You climb. You fight. You surrender the old you again and again until there's nothing left but obedience. And in that obedience, provision flows. Financial increase is not just about hustling. It's about alignment. It's about answering the exact assignment that heaven tailored just for you. The people who are walking in abundance are not just lucky, they're in position. They stopped ignoring their genius. They stopped apologizing for their calling. They started moving like their life depended on it. Because it does. You have an inheritance you're not even claiming. You have open doors you're not walking through. You have gifts you're not activating. You're praying for breakthrough, but God's been whispering, "Move." And still, you hesitate. Still, you say, "Tomorrow." Still, you treat your divine assignment like an optional hobby. And every time you do, you delay your destiny. You keep looking for signs. This is your sign. You keep waiting for confirmation. This is your confirmation. You keep hoping that one day you'll feel ready. But chosen ones don't wait for readiness. They rise. They rise while shaking. They rise with no applause. They rise while doubting. They rise with no roadmap. They rise because they must. Because something bigger than fear is pulling them forward. And once you've tasted that pull, you'll never be able to go back to sleep. Listen, there is no safety in stagnation. There is no shelter in denial. There is no protection in postponement. Every day you ignore the call, something inside of you dies a little. The voice gets quieter. The dream dims. The vision blurs. Until one day, all you feel is numb. And you begin to call that numbness normal. But it's not normal. It's spiritual malnutrition. And you don't fix that with surface-level motivation. You fix it with radical obedience. You've outgrown your excuses. You've outgrown your distractions. You've outgrown pretending like your purpose isn't urgent. Look around. The world is shifting. People are waking up. Opportunities are collapsing and re-emerging in new forms. The energy has changed. Can't you feel it? This is not the time to play games with your destiny. This is not the time to hide. This is not the time to wait for someone to choose you. God already did. And when God chooses you, everything around you has to realign. But it won't happen until you realign, until you break your agreements with mediocrity, until you delete the plans that were built from fear, until you start speaking to your life like it has no choice but to rise. You're not here to survive. You're here to shift. You're here to break patterns. You're here to make wealth divine again. You're here to embody what happens when someone says yes to the call fully, fearlessly, and finally. And yes, that level of surrender will cost you. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you certainty. It will cost you popularity. But it will give you back your soul. It will give you back your power. It will give you back the version of you that always knew it was made for more. That version of you is not gone. It's just buried under years of doubt, disappointment, and deferred dreams.